Logan 2:20, Caiti 2:40, and Marie 3 o'clock. Hi everybody, and welcome to My Thoughts Exactly. I can't sit around here and talk. We're on our way over to the Wick Theater in Boca Raton because I'm interviewing the cast of A Chorus Line, the wonderful new show that's playing at the Wick. And I can't wait to do it. We're also interviewing Kimberly Wick, so we've got to get... Oh my God, we're really late. I got to get going. Bye, see you over at the Wick. I'm sitting on the stage of the Wick Theater, where 8 times a week, the amazing cast of A Chorus Line is performing the wonderful show, A Chorus Line, which opened in 1975 on Broadway in New York. And I'm speaking with Kimberly Wick, the Vice President and Museum Curator of the Wick Costume Collection. Hello, Kimberly.
Hello. Thank you for having me. This is fun.
Yes, it's very fun. And thank you for being here and talking about the Wick. And first of all, congratulations on the big success of A Chorus Line, and more congratulations on the reopening of the Wick Theater and the Costume Museum.
Yeah, it is definitely an exciting time. It seems like we've all had a very long 14-month intermission, and it's nice to be open again and inviting and welcoming guests into the theater and the museum. So we're doing both.
Well, first of all, the show is fantastic, and I encourage everyone to see it because the Chorus Line is really terrific here at the Wick.
It is.
But I wanted to talk about the safety precautions that you and Marilyn have taken to reopen the theater. You've done a lot of great things, so tell everyone out there, how would they feel safe and welcome here at the Wick?
Well, we've done a lot of things, and it's been, we opened A Chorus Line 14 months ago, and we closed after 4 performances. And we rescheduled A Chorus Line to open about 2 months after that. Well, ha ha ha. The joke was on all of us. And so we've always been trying to get it reopened. Obviously, we knew pretty quickly that it wasn't going to happen. So, but in this time, a year full of thought and preparation and CDC guidance and just a good old-fashioned intuition and ingenuity. We have put together a plan that is supported by our audience and our cast and our staff, and the community is coming to see the show. We've done a socially distanced seating chart, which means that the auditorium is basically set up like a checkerboard. So nobody's in front of you, nobody's next to you, nobody's behind you. So it's 2, 2, 2, 2. We, of course, have done enhanced cleaning throughout the building every single day, to the point where people are walking by saying, "You're really doing that again?" Yeah, we're really doing it again. We do it every single day. Disinfectant. We have a fogger that we fog the auditorium about 4 times a week, not every day. We fog the whole building, basically. We also have spent about $25,000 bringing our AC units up to some sort of, it's called a needling system. It's like an ionic needling system. And for a commercial space, it's much more effective than the halo blue lights. So we've done that. Our building was built in 2007, and at the time, they put in open air dampers on every AC unit in the building. So that is a really lucky thing that we have that, because that would have cost another $50,000 to retrograde that. But we open it 4 times an hour, and we get fresh air in the building. And we're seeing now, as it's getting warmer, that it also makes the building a little bit more humid, even though it's conditioning the air. But through all of these precautions and procedures, I really feel very safe in this space. I consider each one of these patrons that visits the theater like family, and they really are like family. I don't want one darn thing to happen to them. And of course, we want to take care of our staff and all the folks in the cast that work here. But everybody tells me the same thing. Kim, this was the right time. It's good to be back in the theater. I'm vaccinated. I feel great about being here. I want to see live theater again. And this is a way they can do it. So I think we're on the right path. It's a nice little baby step. It's the first step. I don't know how many people would be on board to go into a crowded auditorium, a crowded venue of any type, and have people really close. This is kind of like baby steps. This is the first little step, and hopefully by the next show and by next season, they'll be willing to be in an auditorium that is more to capacity.
Well, you and Marilyn have done a terrific job with all of these precautions. I salute you. It's really great. How long does a chorus line run?
A chorus line runs through May 30th. 8 shows a week. As you said, we have 4 matinees and 4 evening performances. And we do have some tickets left. Every day we're talking to folks that tell us, oh, you know, I'm already back up north, and I really wanted to see the show. And we just moved their ticket into a never-expiring credit. And they're very gracious and grateful to have that, which a lot of theaters aren't in a financial situation and position to do. But we are able to help them with that. And that way, when they do return, they can come and see something else.
That's wonderful.
So it seems to be working. I know that our guests tell us the same thing every day. Kimberly, when they're leaving the auditorium, this show has so much heart. And I feel like the light at the end of the tunnel is getting closer and closer. And this is amazing.
Well,
thank you so much.
It was a great show to reopen a chorus line kind of.
It's a good one to reopen, isn't it?
I think so. I think it has something symbolic there with a chorus line and reopening a theater. So
really, really interesting. And this show, I've seen a chorus line many, many times. This particular cast and this show has so much heart. And I'm sure a lot of that is because of the emotion for the cast to be back on the stage again. They can feel the energy of the audience being so delighted to be here. So I don't know. Don't miss it.
And what comes after a chorus line?
We're doing a little show with a beautiful young lady named Cindy Williams from Laverne and Shirley.
We know who that is.
Yeah, we do. Shamil Shamazel.
Yeah.
And she's coming for a one-woman show. It's the story of her amazing life that I really didn't understand was, you know, as big and full as it is. All of her Hollywood antics and so on and so forth. I think it's going to be a great show. I'm looking forward to having Cindy here, and she'll meet everybody in the lobby, and it'll be good fun.
I'm looking forward to seeing her.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you.
Now it's time to meet some of the cast members from the fantastic production of A Chorus Line. I'm here with Fiona Claire Huber, who plays Cassie in A Chorus Line. Cassie is the only dancer who's returning to the line because, as she tells Zach, the director and choreographer, after a few featured performances and a few featured shows, she can't find a job and she needs to work. Fiona, tell me, how was it playing Cassie? What personal struggles did you feel for her and her emotions when you were preparing for the role?
I think we can all relate to Cassie a little bit right now after not having worked for a year and feeling the desperation of just wanting to be on a stage and to be with other dancers and actually have a place where you feel like you fit in and you serve a purpose. So I really tried to tap into that. And I actually came into it thinking Cassie was more down on her luck, vulnerable, desperate. But the creative team led me in an interesting direction and told me Cassie is confident. She hasn't worked, but she knows that she can and that she deserves to. And when she's asking Zach for a job, it's not really begging, but more challenging him and saying, I dare you to give me this job and let me prove to you just how worthy I am.
So a little defiant.
Yes, exactly. And that's kind of what they wanted me to tap into in Music in the Mirror. She is defiant. She is showing that she can still do it and she still got it.
Now, your own personal training has been in ballet.
Yes.
At what age did you discover that you wanted to be a dancer?
Well, I started when I was 3, and then when I turned 10, I really, really wanted to quit. Just dying to. I would lie to my mom and say the class was canceled, but she had already paid for the whole year, and it was the first year that I was up to be in the Nutcracker. And she said, you promised you were going to be in the Nutcracker someday, so you're going to do the Nutcracker, and if after that you still want to quit, you can quit. So I was lucky enough to get a part in the Atlanta Ballet Nutcracker, and I was a mouse. So I was in a little fat suit, a little mouse head, not incredibly glamorous, but the battle scene is right before the snow scene. So I saw all the snowflakes warming up in the wings, and they were just unreal. Absolute epitome of glamour, and I wanted to be a snowflake. So I decided that's what I was going to do, and I finally made it.
Your mother knew that would
She
happen.
knew. I think she definitely knew.
She said, we'll get her in the Nutcracker,
Yes,
and then she'll be
and
hooked.
then she'll see. Yes, exactly.
So do you enjoy being in musicals as well as ballet?
I love being in musicals. I was inspired when I saw An American in Paris on Broadway, and it was the original Broadway cast, and I was in love with Robbie Fairchild. Still am a little bit. But we were third row orchestra, and I felt like I was in it. And I thought, I could do that. I could be in a show like that. So when I saw that they were auditioning for it, I submitted for ensemble, and my friends told me I should submit for the lead. And then when I did, I somehow miraculously got it. And I'm now completely in love with it. And I think there's a lot more acceptance and longevity in musical theater because ballet is so strict and harsh in what your body type needs to be, how you need to fit in. Whereas in musical theater, I think there's a lot more acceptance and celebration of differences and what makes you unique and what makes you special as a dancer.
Let's talk about the song that you have as Cassie in the show. Music and the Mirror is one of the most famous songs in a chorus line, and it's just you on stage alone for, 15 minutes?
It's a long time.
What goes through your mind when you're dancing in front of those mirrors right here where
Right
we're sitting?
here. I just feel so lucky every time. After dancing in my kitchen and my living room for a year and just craving the ability to move and eat up space, getting to do Music in the Mirror and really just let loose feels so freeing every time. And I think we all took a lot for granted before the pandemic, and it can all be taken away so fast, whether it be an injury, a cruel twist of fate, a global pandemic, and then it's just gone. So to have it back is really special, and I just truly will never take it for granted again.
That's wonderful. Do you have other dream roles that you'd like to play?
Oh my gosh, of course. I would love to be Roxy in Chicago.
Oh.
Such a great show, and I just love Fosse choreography. Pretty much anything Sutton Foster's done would be fun.
Well, you're terrific in a chorus line.
Thank you.
Watching you perform on stage for that amazing number was just breathtaking, so applaud you for that.
Thank you so much.
And good luck with the rest of the run. You do 8 shows a week.
We sure do. We sure do. And we're lucky that we get to perform. There's so many people who are still waiting. So
No,
every
thank you.
time it's a blessing.
Thank you, Fiona, for being
Thank you
here.
for having me.
Fiona. Logan Mortier plays Bobby, possibly the funniest role in a chorus line. Logan, in one word, how would you describe Bobby?
Oh, I'd have to say strange. I mean, that's like the one part of the monologue that I feel I really grasp onto. And he says, I kept getting stranger and stranger as I got older, so I'm gonna have to go with strange. I mean, he's an entertainer at heart, so I feel like that's definitely where it all kind of comes together in that strangeness.
Now, Bobby puts up a real facade. He hides his true feelings and emotions. Why do you think that is?
I think that he wasn't exactly the center of attention in his family when he was a kid. I mean, I think that he had a mother who was always hosting parties. I say a lot of this in the monologue too. He had a mother that was always hosting these parties, not paying attention to him, a father who was working all the time, who was also a drunk, you know. He didn't really have that attention from his parents, so I feel like he now portrays this kind of like huge character so that he can get all the attention that he craves so dearly. So and I think that's part of what the facade is.
What do you think he's looking for in life?
Definitely happiness. I mean, I know that's like a very general term, but I think that in a very I think that that happiness that he wants in life is just that fun, carefree feeling. I don't really think he's to a point in his life where he even knows exactly what he wants other than just performing and dancing and entertaining. So I think at the point of the show, I feel like he really wants that. He just wants to have fun. He wants to be excited. And I think that's part of why he needs this job in particular so much. So yeah, I'm going to say happiness.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, you've done Chorus Line before. This is not your first time doing Chorus Line.
Yeah.
Is it one of your favorite shows?
Oh, it is absolutely one of my favorite shows. Every time I do it, it's just, it hits different every single time. I think this is my 7th production of the Chorus Line. So every time I get to do it, I get to discover something new or a line that Bobby gets to say, or any part I'm playing. I mean, I've had the pleasure of playing Bobby. This is my 3rd time. So I think every time that I get to go on this stage and tell this story, every time it's just so different and so captivating in a different way. I mean, especially after this past year, I think that coming back to this particular show that I've done so many times and also I hold really near and dear to my heart, I think it's just been such a beautiful experience and an exercise in gratitude, and I try to bring that to the stage, especially with Bobby in these last several weeks, and through the rest of this run, I'm going to try to do that too.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, let's talk about A Chorus Line itself. I mean, why do you feel that the show has had such a long life, that it's opened in 1975 and people relate to it today, over 40 years later? What's the magic of A Chorus Line?
I mean, I think there's so many incredible themes in it that just kind of just go straight through time and through any age. And I mean, for someone that was literally born in 1993, I still feel like I can like relate to the subject matter. And maybe that's just because I'm a dancer and I'm a performer, and this is a story about us. So anytime we get to get up on stage and tell our own stories, it still feels so captivating. And I think that's partly why it's lasted so long. So for an audience, you keep seeing people just telling their own stories, and everyone brings their own pizzazz, their own feel to each role. And that's also another great thing about doing it so many times, is I've gotten to see so many different people play all these different roles, and it's just so beautiful how we can take this subject matter, this Pulitzer Prize winning script, and just run with it. I mean, so many years later. I mean, and then there's like the topic of like what I did for love. I mean, I think anybody can relate to that. Not just dancers. I mean, everyone, if you've ever been in any sort of relationship or any sort of,
Yes.
I mean, it's just something everyone can just grasp onto. And I think that's partly why it's lasted so long.
It's timeless.
Definitely.
And the production at the Wick is amazing, and Logan is amazing, and it is Bobby. Thank you, Logan.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Absolutely, you too.
Anne-Marie Snyder plays Sheila. Anne-Marie, in a few words, how would you describe Sheila?
Sheila is very dry. She's sarcastic. She's very poised. She's also a little guarded and tough on the outside. Maybe not so tough on the inside, but doesn't want people to know that, really.
She seems like a fun character to play, is she?
Oh, I mean, maybe everyone says this, but I think she's the most fun to play. Yeah, I mean, she just has so many great one-liners, and moments where she's just hilarious and sassy, but she also has sentimental moments as well.
What's your favorite Sheila moment in the show?
Well, I don't want to give away anything, but I really love the moment we call it the alternative scene, and it's when, at the very end, Zach asks what we would do if we can't dance anymore, and everyone's talking about alternatively what they might do or what they wouldn't do, and that's kind of my favorite moment for Sheila, because she kind of loosens up a little bit and says that she's tired of doing this and is thinking of other things to do because she's been doing it for a long time. And
Sheila, like Logan's character Bobby, is a very guarded character. Sheila doesn't show her vulnerability or her emotions. Was it hard for you to play such a close, guarded character?
I mean, I just kind of have to approach it as, I think she is putting up an act. So me acting as that is kind of how I approach it. I don't think she's always like that. She always comes off as that because she's hiding something else. So it's all an act. So acting that role is just kind of fun because you can do it over the top. And I maybe play it a little differently from other Sheilas in the past because I do like to show her vulnerability a little bit at the end. So she has more of an arc to her and is more than just like a one-note character. Because then I think you care about her a little bit more.
Is there a little bit of Sheila in you?
I think there's a lot of bit of Sheila in me. I mean, just like Sheila, I started doing ballet, and I am a taller showgirly type and realized that I should be doing musical comedy rather than ballet. So I started doing that. I also have a very dry sense of humor. And I'm older than a lot of the people in this cast, so I understand her point of view on that. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Coming back on stage after such a hiatus, how did it feel to be returning to performing live for all the people out there?
My God, it was like almost every emotion. Like, just amazing to be back on stage again. It kind of felt like you never left. It's also kind of weird. Everything is a little bit different. It was also hard and scary because this is physically a hard show, and no matter how many classes I do in my living room or exercises I try to do, it's just not the same as actually doing it. So getting back into shape and back into performance mode was difficult and scary, but once you hit the stage and you have the audience there, and it's just so magical, and this is just the perfect show to come back to as well.
I said that earlier in the interviews today, that this chorus line seems right to be the show to reopen the Wick Theater or any theater. There's something about the storylines and coming back and keep trying, and that's what chorus line is all about.
And it's such an ensemble piece, so it's really fun to like have each other's backs through the whole thing, and we're really in it together, which is really great. And it's been emotional coming back to this show. Like, it means something totally different from the times I've done it before, because who would have known? Like, when he says, "What would you do when you can't dance anymore?" Like, we couldn't for the past year. So,
well, that's why the show seems so right to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I've seen chorus line several times. You're a terrific Sheila. So
thank
everyone
you.
out there, come see Anne-Marie as Sheila in a chorus line.
Please do.
I'm here with Eduardo Uribe,
Correct.
who plays the heartbreaking role of Paul in a chorus line. Eduardo, you mentioned that Paul is your dream role. Tell us why that is.
So when I started college, like 9 years ago, the teachers would focus a lot on a chorus line. like in terms of like how to be in a line, how to work like different blockings and matching your numbers. It all came from like that school of Michael Bennett for us. And so I've known about the part for a really long time. When I was a young kid in school, I was like, oh, this is a Latino part. Like this is something that I could potentially do. And then I auditioned for every production possible of A Chorus Line since I lived in New York. And I've never booked the show up until now. So it's been like over 10 years of like dreaming about playing this like incredible role. And finally, like I got the chance to. I just feel very identified with the part in many ways. And
What are some of the ways you relate to Paul?
Okay, so I was born and raised in Colombia. I lived there, born and raised, and moved to New York just for college. And I grew up in a Hispanic family who had no idea or clue about theater or what it was or how, it all worked. And so when I was like, I want to do this for a living, they were all like, right. Oh, New York. Okay, sure. Yeah, right. And so that's the first thing that I like identify with the part. Like he grew up with a family who didn't understand what he loved to do the most. Thank God it was an amazing family that like accepted me and loved me and appreciated and supported everything that I did and that I wanted to do. So in that sense, I'm a little different from Paul. I've also done drag before. So I can identify with like that feeling and how much it meant to him and how he was influenced by all these like incredible female dancers from, Hollywood and Broadway. And that's just kind of been the way I've been training my body and focusing on. So in that way, like I can relate to his like love for these movies and these stars. The whole high school, middle school thing for all of us was, it's pretty much like Paul. Yeah. Especially in a very conservative country like Colombia, growing up as like the one gay kid in school who loved theater, like I would get harassed a lot and whistled at and all sorts of things. I didn't quit school, but I definitely grew up feeling all those things. And then I feel like the one thing that I'm most related to Paul, I have an injury. I hurt myself a year ago during La Cage, the production I did. And coming into the show, I was scared, like very terrified that the choreography might be a little too difficult, a little too hard for what I can do with this injury on my left foot. So it's all just kind of very much like the part in terms of like what my process has been with the show. Like during rehearsals, it started acting up. Everybody was, worried, but also kind of making fun, that I was going a little method for the part unintentionally. But yeah, I feel like I understand him. And one of the things that like I really like I connected with is just his honesty about all of it and how he's like he's been through it. He's not going through it currently. This is all his like memories and his story and the things that he's done, and he's a very strong individual, and I really relate to that.
One of the most moving moments in A Chorus Line is Paul's monologue that you're doing 8 shows a week. It's very heartbreaking. Is it hard in an emotional sense to get through it every performance?
It was really hard towards the beginning when I was just so emotional about the piece. And I was very nervous that I wasn't able to, recreate that every night on stage, and like that's our job as an actor. Like, how do I find that place and that, and those feelings in the moment? And I was like, I can't go to like tough or rough, like memories to inject the monologue with those, because it would be very like exhausting and would eventually probably like hurt me as well, emotionally, of course. So thank God that I have like such great and accepting memories from my family and friends, and that's where I'm going. I'm not going to sad and horrible and traumatizing. I'm going to like my parents actually being there, like my friends supporting me, like all the love. And I found that with those memories, I could get a similar result in terms of the physicality of the piece. So yeah, there are some moments when I find myself like remembering those tough things, and it helps. And thank God I'm past that and over it. So it's just recall and then move on. But I'm injecting the piece with mostly good memories. And so in that way, I'm protecting myself every night and every show from maybe just going a little too far. Of course, there are some nights where like the emotion and all those like things come back and they're there and I use them, of course. But I'm trying to protect myself because it is a very personal piece. And a lot of those words and those sentences in the monologue relate to very directly to me. So I'm just, every time I go on, right before I come out upstage right, to come do the piece, I just remind myself, like, just be honest, be truthful. You're just telling your story and remember those things. And once I'm going through the piece, I hold back a lot because, we don't want to play the end of the monologue. It's I'm on stage for like 15, 20 minutes by myself. So it's the holding it back. Holding it back. Don't play the end. Don't play the end. So at the end, I can let go. And it has been there every single performance. So I'm really happy with the work. But it is an emotional roller coaster every night, both physically because of the dancing in the show and then emotionally.
Wonderful. Now that you've played Paul, what are some of your other dream roles? In case there's a director or producer watching the show.
Absolutely. Hint, hint. I would really want to play Molina in Kiss of a Spider Woman.
Very suitable for you.
I just love Kander and Ebb. Like, they are my favorite composers, and every show every show they've done is where I feel like both my movement, my body style, everything that I do fits the best. And then there's this one part that's just so beautiful. Like, I have never seen a production of it because, the show barely gets done and the videos that you can find are just, from clips. But I can tell that it is one of those parts that, like, would change me the way Paul has. And I would just love to be in that show.
You hear that? Kiss of the Spider-Woman, Molina.
Yes. And also, just because recently I rewatched this movie and I heard that there were talks that it might be turned into a musical, but I would love to play Chichi Rodriguez in the musical version of Tu Wong Fu. Since
Another
John
great
was
role.
Colombian as
Yes.
well. So I'm just trying to find these roles that are like interesting enough and fun, but that also like I can play, especially now that like the theatrical world is opening up a lot more about casting and stuff. Oh my God, okay, what are other roles that are not traditionally Latino that I can play? And, I would love to break some of those boundaries and eventually, like, I don't know, why not be a Latino Phantom of the Opera or, those kinds of things. Because I've been doing that for the past years, breaking some of those stereotypes. I'm also, I've been touring with the Grinch musical.
Oh.
And when they hired me, I had auditioned like 5 years for them. And, I played Papa Who on tour, and the family unit of, Cindy and her family were all very white. The entire show was very white. And then when I joined the company, they broke all that and they hired a Latino dad, a black grandpa. And I was like, okay, well, here's proof that like I can play some of these traditionally just, white roles. So
the possibilities are limitless.
Yes.
Now, speaking of reopening, the theaters, they're all coming back.
Mm-hmm.
How did it feel the first time you stepped on stage for a live performance after being on hiatus for, over a year?
Over a year and a half, yeah. Especially with a chorus line, it's kind of even more personal and touching because I feel like now we all understand these people who have been through unemployment for so long and are desperate for a job, are desperate to do what they love, and it's exactly what's happening with the world and what happens in the show. These kids want these jobs so bad for whatever reason. I feel like coming into rehearsal, bringing this last year and a half with us just gave it a whole different meaning. It's like it's like a very good piece to be in right now because of what it says. And like, what if I'm not getting any younger? Like, what if I can't dance in a chorus? Like, time is ticking and my actual injury and the injury in the show, it's just all very real. So like that first time that like, it happened and there was an audience.
Right here.
I was literally moved by everything in the show. I was like getting emotional over other people's pieces. Like the songs would play and I would just like, save it because you're going to need it for later. And then that first time stepping out for that monologue and just hearing the audience respond and being able to do what I love again in front of an audience, it just meant the world. And I feel like that's another thing that I try to inject into my performance. And which is also like a lesson for all of us, because every show that we are in should feel like that. Like it could be our last. Like when am I gonna work again? And it's just made me see my industry and like my career in a whole different way. And I'm so grateful to, be able to do this right now when there aren't many productions like around the country currently.
Right. Well, congratulations, Eduardo.
Thank you.
On a magnificent performance as Paul. I hope
you
you get
so
to play
much.
Paul again. I hope you get to play Molina and
Yes,
any other
hopefully.
role that you have.
Maybe the Wick wants to do a production of Kiss of the Spider Woman. That would be great.
I'm sure Marilyn will be watching.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm here with Caiti Marlowe. Caiti plays Christine in A Chorus Line. Now, Caiti, Christine is the one character in the show who is auditioning to be in the line, and she's got a little problem that she confesses to Zach, the director. What is that problem?
So Christine is a fabulous dancer. She's really charismatic, really fun, really cute, but she just cannot carry a tune to save her life.
It is amazing to see
Yeah.
a character on stage that cannot carry a tune.
Yeah.
And before we talk about that, what parts of Christine do you identify with?
Yeah, so I love that question actually, because when I initially auditioned for the show, I auditioned with Mitzi Hamilton, who was our director of the first production. I initially went in for the character of Maggie, who is the the singer track, basically. She sings the highest notes in the show and whatever. The audition didn't go great, and Mitzi was like, are there any other characters that you feel like you relate to? And I was like, I guess, honestly, Christine, because she's a little bit wacky. She's a bit all over the place, but, like everyone loves that wacky energy sometimes. I think she's also very charismatic. I think that's partially why she got so far in this audition process, even though she can't sing.
Charming.
So-
The word that comes to my mind is charming.
Yeah, definitely charming. I love that part of her. She kind of just says whatever, and she's weird, and I love that.
Well, I think she's one of the most openly vulnerable characters in A Chorus Line. She really
Yeah.
bears her soul in that.
Mhm.
But what do you think the future holds for someone like Christine? Do you think she'll stay in show business, that she'll stick it out? It's a tough business.
Yeah, it is a very tough business. As actors, we make our little backstories for the characters that we play, and in my version of Christine, I think that she probably goes on. She has like a little dance career. She does a couple shows in New York, but I think her future is definitely, she's a really fabulous dance teacher and has a whole generation of young artists that she raises. So like that's what I see for Christine.
That's not a bad place to
That's
be.
definitely not. Yeah, you
Yeah.
need teachers. You need that in the world. I think she'd be great.
Now I know you personally, and I know you sing beautifully. So as an actor, is it hard to play somebody on stage where you have to purposely sing off key and out of tune and
Yeah.
off beat? Is that hard to do?
It's a little tricky, yeah. There were times during our rehearsal process where our music director, Eric Alsford, was like, oh, pick another bad note. That was too much in the chord. So there were moments where I had to, work a little harder to be bad. But it's so fun. Like, I cannot express how much fun I have singing poorly. It's like my new passion.
I can imagine it. Well, the good part about it is, I guess, when you mess up, it's part of the character.
Yeah, it's great. It's very low pressure for me as a singer. I'm like, I can do whatever. I don't really have to warm up today.
Now, we talked earlier with Kimberly Wick, and she was telling us about the wonderful safety precautions the theater has taken with COVID, which is phenomenal. They did a great job. But one of the things is that the actors in the show have to wear these clear face masks. And I have to admit, I saw the show, and I hardly noticed them. I was in row G, hardly noticed them at all. But as an actor, what does it feel like performing with them?
I kind of agree with you in that I kind of just forget it's there, which is nice because initially we had to rehearse our first 2 weeks wearing regular masks because we weren't sure of everyone's vaccination status, just to be extra safe for the rehearsal process, especially because the rehearsal room is very different from the theater in that it's really small. So the difference between dancing in a regular mask and in this clear mask is like night and day. It's fabulous. I love it. The only time I ever notice it is like when we do some choreography, like sometimes I'll knock it and then I'm like, shoot. But yeah, no, it's great. We really forget that they're there.
Yeah, they were very unobtrusive.
Yeah, definitely.
Very much so. Well, congratulations on A Chorus Line and the rest of the run. We're coming back to see it, and we look forward to seeing you and the rest of the cast. Caiti Marlowe as Christine in A Chorus Line.
Oh, well, that was fun, but my feet are killing me. I feel like I've been dancing in A Chorus Line. Check out A Chorus Line. It's great. Buy tickets at the Wick Theater. Directed by Jeffrey B. Moss and choreography by Trevor Michael Schmidt. Next week, I'll be starting my 3rd year of My Thoughts Exactly, and I'm taking you to the Everglades. That's right, we're going on an Everglades adventure, and we'll be looking at scary alligators and beautiful birds. Thanks for watching the show, everybody. If you like the show, please subscribe. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. Bye.